Your party has a 2/3 majority in parliament. The Chief Justice you came to meet has been removed. In fact, one newspaper expressed the fear that you could be morphing into, quote, a supreme leader, unquote.
Bernard said I'm in danger of becoming a supreme leader. Look in my face, do I look like a supreme leader? And that is to paraphrase Prof. Star. At times, do I look like a cat hunter?
Maneva say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Etiopo Kwaba Ediba PENDREAM TV so na your first time wa subscribe to channel no fa sabo adomane so say the video bi ato a we first person a we hwe yen tu fa ne enko enra President John Dramani Mahama chia central for na assembly copy mu ya nwa panyi e no Bernard Avle ono na ye morning show e wo City FM na enumere so host shows bi or City TV. Now when I do question segment no or to question him and President John Dramani Mahama beside say NDC afa seat ni bebre or parliament ama na say nche Chief Justice edi although of president for the right way so eyi na di no as a Ghana for bebre so say president badani ni hu supreme leader bia or the or council ma obi antumi nkebi There's over Ghana phones, over Chinchin Ghana phones, or much. Now, President Suman, why would I confess? Name Coffedia, confess, name Coffedia, Bernard Avle, a kind of bar.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Felix. Before my question, I'd like to indicate that there was a question on Galamsey, which I believe has.
Yes, I just prompted His Excellency, and he will deal with it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. President, thank you for this opportunity. We are told democracy thrives on checks and balances and separation of powers. Your party has a 2/3 majority in parliament. The Chief Justice you came to meet has been removed, of course, under your hand, although the process was gone through. There is talk of the EC chair and the leadership, quote, not being fit for purpose by members of your party. Some people fear that these developments and others create a situation where the other arms of government are completely subservient to the executive. In fact, one newspaper expressed the fear that you could be morphing into, quote, a supreme leader, unquote. There is a maxim that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Should we be worried in your legacy term that the democracy you came to meet will be well oiled and that the three arms of government will work not in subservience but in unison? Thank you.
Bernard Avle and I continue in Kano. No, because I will open Mama say, Mammy answer na which I am which President John Dramani Mahama said I'm in the Ghana for 9 years, Miss Ubia, or have a deal mine about to think to Kata, young Jim Kubeda and Supreme Leader. And Nadia Mesa, may no be a team, sir, may no be a 2 power drunk, sir, says the Ghana for me Kano. May they be I am got see President John Dramani Mahama, Yembra.
Bernard said I'm in danger of becoming a supreme leader. Look in my face, do I look like a supreme leader? And that is to paraphrase Prof. Star. At times, do I look like a cat hunter? Do I look like a supreme leader? I'm a Democrat true and true. And even when we attained 2/3 of parliament, I said that we're not going to use it to ride roughshod over the minority, and that we're going to give opportunity for democracy to flourish. And so we don't intend to use our 2/3 majority to steamroll our democracy. We believe that even though the people of Ghana gave us that overwhelming majority, it wasn't meant to turn Ghana into a dictatorship. They gave it to us in order that we could carry out reforms to make our governance better. And I think that we stand a very good chance with that 2/3 majority to finally move the amendments to the Constitution that we have all wanted. in the past, because of hung parliaments and all that, we couldn't make any progress, because there are some of those amendments for which you need an overwhelming majority. And so Ghanaians have given us that opportunity and say, look, go ahead and do these things so that we can have a better constitution that will take Ghana for many more generations to come. And so that's what I believe. But I certainly am not on the way to becoming a supreme leader or an autocrat. Yendi and Tamale water. Yendi, Tamale, and Damango are 3 urban areas in the northern regions that suffer severe water scarcity, especially Tamale. Tamale is probably the biggest city in the whole of the 5 northern regions. The population has been increasing rapidly, and the water system has not expanded as fast to meet the demand of a growing population. And so we have to urgently expand Tamale, Yendi, and Damango has become a regional capital. It has started growing very fast, and it faces a scarcity of water. The Tamale and Damango water systems are under an EU program, and recently when I went to Brussels, it's one of the things we discussed. There's funding available for those 2 water systems. And so because we have a cap on our credit, external credit of $250 million a year, we have to find space within that to be able to accommodate Tamale and Damango water. But I want to assure you that they are priority projects for government, and we definitely would fund them and make sure that before we leave office, Tamale and Damango get sufficient water for those cities to thrive. With Yendi, we are placing Yendi under the Big Push program, and so we're going to fund it with our oil and gold revenues and establish an expanded water treatment system for Yendi. The budget statement is going to be read in November, and in the budget statement, details of these projects will be included in the budget. The last time the GJA came to me, I mentioned to them that as the world changes and new technologies come, we're moving from not having just the traditional media into having what we call the new media. These are all the new social media instruments like TikTok, like Facebook, like X, and all of them. And so the traditional sense of journalists like you, most of you trained and working in media houses that have a corporate identity and can be held responsible for the information that you put out, is beginning to change. We have a new crop of I'll call them neo-journalists, who anybody with a phone and a camera can report news or comment on national issues. Now the point is, who holds those people responsible? And that's what he's saying. If you go to some of the WhatsApp platforms, or you go to some of the commentaries in the TikToks and others, we have what we call hate speech, incitement to violence. Those are criminal. Despite the fact that we have removed the criminal libel laws, there are some laws that make such people accountable. Because if we don't regulate that sector, it can lead this nation to war. There are some of the incendiary statements that have been made in the Boko situation that are fueling some of what is happening there, making people hate each other and see each other as enemies. It's been the same in the Gonja Brefo thing. Some people fanning and inciting violence against each other. This falls in the ambit of the National Signals Bureau. And so the National Signals Bureau now has the technology to use your IP number and find you wherever you are. So I'm sending a signal to Ghanaians that we can find you those doing those hate speech and things. We'll use your IP number, we'll trace you. And when we trace you, we'll deal with you under the criminal code for inciting violence and disturbance of the peace. But I believe that beyond that, we must start making regulation for this new media because it's unregulated. And so anybody just takes a phone and says, oh, this plane crash, I wish that so and so had been the one in the helicopter and had died, and dwarfs have eaten him in the forest. I mean, why would you say something like that? And so we need regulation for that new emerging media. But in the meantime, the National Signals Bureau has been given the full authority to track down people who do that kind of thing and bring them to be sanctioned under the criminal code.
For President John Dramani Mahama and I continue in Canona, President the amount for Canonusa TV. Amount for the Namamokas and the time new drawer, and Yadia person see form, and I baby, amount for cancer be. President say, now say I went before a bear meeting and could I to just say, wow, you say, oh no, after 8 years now with the, or it's not to also I cost and you know, or say, no credit. Oh no, and ban argument put us on the visa. Into what? Ayo, I do for president, one shot, time you do some ranoma. I think one said I ever sound of you. Also, that she knew ever see, or no President John Dramani Mahama, on your power drunk. There were by an eye. In the 2028, there is nowhere. Or was some rano, and I said, bro, president, we, or better some rano, the money and out with Tata Ghana for, or Sigana Nimbia, Abutre, non tranquil because, or no, or Basso by Juma, Marabua Ghana for, or Ambassador, or Bema Ghana for Sassifom. A tear for a PENDREAM TV. Then I make a video now, share, so we need you one. Like video no, but share my amount for being share. Now some for comments about the comment section or you my own what doing for story. Story be out of from ambassador. That's it.
Whenever I say PENDREAM TV, PENDREAM TV there, I see them you